Good evening, everybody. My name is Donnie Glover, and welcome to the Donnie Glover Show. In the city of Baltimore, we get to go through and see a lot of different parts of town, East Baltimore, West Baltimore. And as you well know, I'm a big fan of Black business. We've interviewed NotYourBangers.com recently on the show. Some young men with a food truck, Lemon, his brother Cuffy, the other brother named Killer. And we're very proud of them. We had a chance recently to go up to the Imad Center, 2132 West North Avenue, and see some young people manufacturing clothes, manufacturing sorbet right here in the heart of West Baltimore. Well, one day, not long ago, I was thumbing through social media and I came across Mr. Lee here. Is J. Lee pronounced it for me?
J. Lee.
J. Lee. Mr. J. Lee of Bomb City. And I tell you, I watched some of his videos, but there's nothing like the testimonials. Mr. Lee, you had one testimonial on there, and I forgot. Well, I don't know if I can repeat the words the brother said, but he essentially said that your brand is the bomb and anything else is unacceptable. It's one of your more recent ones, but he was raw with it. And I was like, that's straight Baltimore. If anybody didn't know what Baltimore was, that young man brought the Baltimore flavor. Good evening to you, Mr. Lee.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Glover. Thanks for having me, big brother. I appreciate you.
The pleasure's all mine. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a Baltimore native, born and raised here in Baltimore. Spent most of my time in West Baltimore. And just I guess like I say, my story is unique to myself, But I experienced a lot of things that every young man growing up in Baltimore experienced, from drug addiction, prison, everything that you don't. I'm not saying that you have to become a victim of your circumstances or but it was just some of the things that was acceptable and was right in my face, and I fell victim to some of these things. And I just thank God, man, that, when I was a fool, God protected me from myself. Because I was one of those guys where experience had to be my best teacher. And that was very dangerous. But God protected me. They say protect fools and babies, so I guess I was a fool.
Amen. Amen. How old are you?
I'm 48 years old.
You're a young man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you claim any schools?
I was blessed to be able to go to the Glen Mill schools in Pennsylvania, and like I say, due to my background, I was sent there because I was getting in trouble as a young man. I was sent there, but some of the things I learned at that school are used to today. And the Glen Mill schools is in Conkerville, Pennsylvania. They just recently closed the school down a few years ago due to some bad things that were going on there. But my experience there was great.
So at 48, you now run a business.
Yes, sir.
And it's Bomb City?
Bomb City, yes. And Bomb City is an acronym, Mr. Glover. Bomb City is an acronym.
For what?
All right, so you great participate in the Bomb City Challenge, right? And it's very simple. I'm going to say what each letter means, and I just need you to repeat it. It's simple enough, right? All right, so if you saw it on my page, you might have seen this. So I'm going to say it, you just repeat it. So the acronym is brilliant.
Brilliant.
Hold up, let me say it first. Everybody want to do that. I'm going to say the whole thing and then you repeat it. It ain't that easy. It's brilliant, open minds become conscious individuals to you. Now, Mr. Glover, I know that's a whole lot to repeat, but can you repeat that?
Brilliant, open minds become. That's as far as I got to hear. Brilliant, open minds become.
So you ain't get it?
I didn't hear it all the way.
So I'm gonna give you a bong bong because I always give people a bong bong. I'm sorry, Mr. Glover, bong bong. You got it wrong, but I'm gonna say it for you one more time. It's brilliant, open minds become conscious individuals to you.
Brilliant, open minds become conscious individuals to you.
Yes. But if I'd have said it that fast the first time, you probably would have got it.
I don't know, these young boys with these rap lyrics, I'll be trying to catch up with them.
Yeah, but And the
Okay,
way that
brilliant open minds become conscious individuals to you.
to you, yeah. So, and the story behind Bomb City, I'm in the music. I was an artist for a long time. I was an artist, and that was the name of my label. You know, Bomb City was the name of my label. And it was just a play on a nickname for Baltimore, which you know was Charm City. But during the time that I created Bomb City, which was in the 90s, everything was the bomb. Everything was the bomb. So I said Baltimore's the bomb. You know what I mean? We're bomb on. You know, I had like a negative connotation attached to it because I was still young in my thinking. So, you know, Bomb City took on a life of its own. And then, you know, post 9/11, I didn't want the negative connotation attached to the bomb in the city. So that what gave birth to the acronym. And then the acronym took a life of its own. You know, it's something I can do and be interactive with my customers and things like that. And people run down on me like, because if you get it right, a lot of times I'll give you something free.
Brilliant open minds become conscious individuals to you. I want my suit. I want to know where that suit at. Where's that suit that you selling?
Hey, Mr. Glover, I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that.
But I got one for you back.
Tech.
I got one to share with you. So when we started Be More News, this was 19 years ago. And when I went away to school, I realized that people refer to Baltimore as Be More. You know, we from Baltimore. It's Baltimore, whatever. Be More. And people say, hey, Be More, Be More. You realize they probably was in your fan club, so you don't want to crack slick on them. But there's a young brother in Northeast Baltimore named Ateem Lee. And he has a clothing brand called Controversy with a K.
I'm very familiar with his
Well, anyway, this is what he defined Be More. This is 20 years ago. And mind you, when I started Be More News, I got to tell you, Mr. Lee, there were people that called the name ghetto. But it was already in my soul. I wanted BeMore.com. But some white cats who lived in Sandtown owned that domain name. And so Be More News just became a natural fit. But a team broke it down to being more optimistic and righteously endowed. And what I always appreciated about that,
righteously endowed. I like that.
It gave me a positive spin on Baltimore because, as you well know, folk from everywhere, when you travel, you tell them you're from Baltimore.
That's that, yeah.
And then they want to associate. And I saw this just yesterday. Somebody wrote, now I'm not sure what magazine, Time or what have you, that The Wire was the greatest show to come out of America.
That lets you know what America responds to.
What do you mean?
So, you know, The Wire, you know what I mean? It's I feel like it was a true depiction of Baltimore to some degree, but it's not the full picture, you know. So I mean, I anything that gives Baltimore accolades, I must say I appreciate that. But you know, in this Western Hemisphere, you know what I mean, that's what they respond to. You know what I'm saying? Like they respond to the sad, the downtrodden stories because it wasn't a story of no heroes. You know, I mean, I like The Wire, I love The Wire. You know, I know the stories. You know, but I don't feel like it's a full depiction of Baltimore because Baltimore has a lot more to offer than just what you see on The Wire.
So here's another question for you. What recreation center did you go to growing up?
Well, I was a bad seed, Mr. Glover. I got kicked out of all the recreation centers, but it was Tawanda's, Callahell. These are the ones I got put out of. Tawanda's, Callahell, C.C. Jackson, and J.D. Gross.
Now, I never heard of J.D. Gross, but I know the other three, West Baltimore, Park Heights.
Right. All of them in the Park Heights. All right. I wasn't pretty much allowed in a lot of those places. I grew a lot, man. Like I just wanted a little love. I ain't know how to ask for it, man. So I acted out a lot, you know.
So I've noticed you don't just sell clothes.
No, sir.
There's more to it.
Yes, sir.
A testimony even.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So, I mean, like I say, growing up in a dysfunctional setting, like I say, I experienced everything from sexual abuse to drug abuse. Being in prison, and it was just like I say, at a young age, I experienced a lot of trauma, and I acted out because I didn't know how to tell someone what was going on with me, how I was feeling. And like therapy is so taboo in our community, so it wasn't even an option. It wasn't even on the table. And like growing up in a household that I grew up in, our business was our business. So you suffered in silence. And you got worse and you got worse. You know what I mean? So these behaviors, if you look at it, these behaviors is just a manifestation that something else is going on with this young man. I wasn't a bad kid. I just had things going on, So, my mother, she did the best she could with what she had. She made sure I stayed in church and tried to make sure I stayed in school. But I mean, none of that mattered. You know what I'm saying? Because I was broken in the inside, and it was nothing that I feel like that I was tapping into could fix me at that time. So I just ran them up. And then through some time that I spent in prison and juvenile facilities and things like that, I just started educating myself about certain things, and I just started educating myself more and more, learning about certain things. When I was 19 years old, I joined the Nation of Islam. I thank God for the Nation of Islam. It helped me become a man and stand upright and stand for something. And I used to always tell my mom, she used to always feel like, you in that mess and this and that and that and this. And I told her, I said, Mom, well, your book said if you train up a child the way he should go, when he is old, he won't depart from it. This was my path. Because God knew that was the only thing that I would respond to. So I'll just not his knowledge, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes, people think they know what's going on, they really don't, because God's wisdom is infinite. You know what I mean? And God was working on me, man. I thank God, it's an honor to have God chastise me and watch over me and just guide me, man, because I know that I feel and see God's grace and his presence on a daily. Because I can make some messed up decisions on my own.
You mentioned the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
And as you were talking, one name came to my mind right away, Brother Andrew. You know Brother Andrew?
I can't, not right offhand, I can't say that I do, but I'm sure I probably crossed his path. He probably crossed mine.
He's like I would say a captain with the Fruit of Islam, but he has a very extensive prison ministry. He's also active with Dr. Bunley with that group, the group of men that go out on Monday nights, We, Our, Us.
Right.
But as you were talking, I also was thinking about Malcolm and how he was first introduced to the nation.
And
the nation needs some help down on North and Mount Royal. You got some panhandlers that took over that corner and talked to the brothers.
It's rough out there for a bow tie, being by-toed Muslim right now, man.
It's hard on the Muslim.
Yeah.
You got some cats not even from the community posting up north in Fulton. They panhandling for real. They are not playing.
Man, and it's crazy. It's crazy the way that this I feel like some things I think a lot of it ties into mental health though, man. A lot of people that you see out there panhandling and stuff like that, it's obvious that they have some unaddressed mental health issues. A lot of those people. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Lee, I've never seen white addicts in Sandtown in the alley shooting dope, sniffing dope, eating off the ground. I've never seen it like this in my life.
Yeah, some new drugs out here too that take you to animalistic behavior. This some new stuff here. This synthetic stuff they putting out here. This a whole new beast. I just thank God for the day, and I ain't out there caught up in the grips of addiction, because I'm gonna get to it, by all means. So I just thank God that my mission is different now than trying to get a bag.
So one thing I admire from what I've seen in your social media presentation, I get the impression that the young people look to you as a light.
Yeah. I try to deposit a lot into the life of young people. I had the pleasure of working at Maryville High School for a few years. I was working for Bishop Billy Stansfield. I was working for his program. And it was just, man, like, it was just gratifying at the end of the day, knowing that I was going to work and I was depositing something into young people's lives that, they could take with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was gratifying to me. And you know how sometimes you have people in your life when you're young, and they might tell you something, and you might not know why Mr. Glover told you that. But it might be 10 years later that you go in your toolbox and you got it, and it's useful, and you're like, oh, that's what he was talking about. And man, I really enjoyed that job, and probably would have still been there had it not been for COVID. Because COVID, shut the position I had at the school, it shut that whole thing down. But man, I was coaching, and I was just giving back, because I just feel like I owe that to my community. I have a responsibility to my community, because at one time I showed my community all the bad stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I was the guy on the corner with the jewelry on and the car, and this is what success looked like in our community. If you're in that 10-block radius, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the things that I saw. I couldn't see past that. So sometimes you got to go out there and let them know it's somebody to talk just like you, to dress just like you, but doing something different. And here's how you do it.
So go ahead.
And I just try to be that beacon of light, man. Like, and I had my struggles. Trust and believe, I had my struggles, but I'm going to give you the best I got to offer, especially our young people.
So this Bomb City brand, have you taken it to New York City yet?
Well, yeah and no. I got some people in New York City. I got some customers in New York City, some people in New York City. And the crazy thing about my brand right now, Mr. Glover, is that I got a vast social circle, right? So a lot of times you'll see my stuff all through the city. You'll see my stuff in other cities. And it's like, I've done all this without no real internet presence. Like, even if you go on my page, you really don't know I'm selling anything. Because people always say, how do I get it? And I kind of did that. I strategically did that. Because I know a lot of people, and I knew that I could have the brand being seen by a lot of people. So I put myself in demand. So now I'm in the process of doing some things. I got some social media support. I got some young people help me out to get my social media presence and my web presence together. So now that I can serve a bigger audience, you know what I'm saying, and get at a bigger demographic. But the unique thing about my products is, and I'm trying to get people to understand this, I don't do nothing twice. I do nothing twice.
I saw that in a movie once. I saw that in a gangster movie once. Beanie Siegel said that.
Yeah, well, now Jay Lee said it. So you heard it from two gangsters. But yeah, like, that's my little niche. I try not to duplicate anything, because I look at these clothes like a track. Like when I'm like going into the booth when you're in the studio, and I just want to ad lib on a little bit. I just want to be creative and ad lib on a little bit, So that's my thinking behind that, and I'm trying to build my brand behind not really mass producing anything and not doing nothing twice. It's going to justify the cost, though.
No. So, is the word boutique?
Fitting? Yeah, I would say that. I would definitely say it definitely goes along the lines of some boutique style things, because I will at times make 6 of this, but it's going to be something very small, different and distinctive on each one of those pieces, just to make it different, just to say it wasn't the same.
So you're serious about your art?
Yes. And this is art to me. I love creating. I love, the word bespoke. Creating nothing, is creating it from nothing and turn it into something. Like I love that. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing I love about music. You got a empty track. When you go in the studio, it start with a. That's what you start with, and then at the end of the night, you got a masterpiece.
So
Like, man,
is that something that you're still working on, manufacturing
I
music?
yeah. I try to put people with the right people. I do some things with the group Rough Ends, the Baltimore group Rough Ends. I do some stuff with Scola, and they ambassadors for my brand too. Scola De Niro, formerly of Drew Hill. Like I say, Rough Ends, and then like D Boy, he one of my ambassadors for my brand. That's De Niro, he's one of the guys. It's a lot of young guys that support me, and that's my way of still staying connected to the music because it's a culture. So the clothing, it keeps me connected. Guys ask me for advice. Like I said, I got resources, so I put you with who you need to be with.
So maybe you can school me because I'm a little older than you. Where does Baltimore hip hop, Baltimore rap, where does Baltimore's contribution fit into the broader scheme of hip hop?
Well, I would say that Baltimore is up next. Baltimore is creating its own style, its own sound because they've been waiting for something from Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore, so that's why you hear that. But they are truly waiting on the world is waiting on the Baltimore artists. I just feel like for a long time, I think that they felt like that it wasn't a market here for Baltimore because we known for club music. Like DC known for go-go. Baltimore's known for club music. So I think that to some degree may have created some hiccups in the road for some of the Baltimore artists. But I think the oyster's opening up for Baltimore artists, man. I think we ready to put a footprint that ain't going nowhere. Shout out to my man D Boy, he doing a lot. Lil Sleepy. Man, I don't want to start naming names. I don't want to leave nobody out, man. But man, these young guys in Baltimore, it's some young guys down there. Shout out to Squirrel Wild, Hooligan Express. Squirrel Wild is very, very, very instrumental in trying to put Baltimore artists on, even when he was at 92Q. And y'all download that app, Hooligan Express. Download that app, man. Squirrel Wild got his own radio station, and he's doing it for Baltimore, man. I'm so proud of that brother. And I'm
I
thankful that he
worked beside him for years out at Radio One.
And you work with another good friend of mine, Mr. Mike Nice.
Oh, absolutely.
Real good friend of mine. Me and Mike Nice used to do street radio together. I did a couple volumes of street radio with Mike Nice. We used to go state to state selling them CDs, man. I didn't put my work in. Definitely put my work in with the music. But I think Baltimore great blast is wide open, man. I don't think they're ready for what's going to hit them because once we get it, we're going to put it in the chokehold.
So here's a critical question. What advice, and I only say this after seeing some of our young artists cut down before they even, I don't know if they even made it to age 20. What advice to our young men in the industry? Any advice to them?
Yes. I would have to say that these guys have to lean more towards their not the reputations that we make for ourselves, man. Your character. Because we got a moral compass inside, and some of the things we do as artists, we know that ain't necessarily right. So I'm just saying, like, lean more to your moral compass, man, and be true to yourself. I would never want to censor nobody's art, and if they where they at, that's where they at. But even the older artists gotta like step in and give these young guys some guidance. But you have a moral compass, man. So I would just say because even when I was doing certain things with the music, and I know that it's going to get a certain effect, you would do it, even though it might not be right. Because the lyrics and what we put out there, man, has power. So I would just say, I mean, like, be conscious of what you put out of your mouth, because it has an effect on your community as a whole. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I just say, hold yourself accountable, man, for what come out your mouth. Guard your tongue. Guard your tongue, because
I hear you.
yeah, because it's by design. They want us to perpetuate what we're perpetuating, but we better than that. We better than that. But like I said, I don't want to, because I had to grow too. So I feel like it's the responsibility of people like me that know these young guys, man, kind of get in their ear. Kind of get in their ear and kind of give them some guidance. But, like I said, I would never want to censor no one's art, because where you at is where you at. And you reporting live where you at, at the time when you putting these lyrics out. Maybe allow
So
paying them lyrics.
I hear you loud and clear. You said watch your mouth. And I gotta own whatever I say out my mouth. I better be able to back it up. So as I was asking that question, what came to my mind is, if they 18, I gotta get them. If they rap, I gotta get them out of Baltimore. That's the first thing I would want to do. From 18 to 22, put them on the road.
Yeah.
Because what it looks like is that cats get jealous of you, and then they want to shoot you.
Right. And like, when you start growing, and you grow to certain, we should always be growing, because change is constant. So when people start saying you changing and they stuck in that same situation, instead of trying to, because a lot of people look at your shoes, even though they don't wear your size. Why you looking at my shoes? I wear 12, you wear 9. You know what I mean? So people don't know how to play their positions and get in where they fit in, because they're so busy looking at your shoes. So that's like crazy that you said that, but that's the big thing. Like, we move them from the situation so that they can grow.
I would want to get them out of town. I know I'm 56 now, but when I was 18, I got a chance to go to Atlanta for pretty much 2 years, minus the summers. And just in that 2 years, Mr. Lee, the first summer home, I saw a cat that lived on Thomas Avenue smacking a cat on Moreland Avenue during the basketball game. Cat was going up for a layup. And I'm saying to myself, I've been gone 6 months. You live around the corner from each other. When did we start sticking up our neighbor? This was 85. And that was the beginning of the end in terms of watching the crack thing explode. But I mean, I still don't get how you willing to kill somebody you grew up with. We done played football together, basketball, been up the rec, we've been to discos, we ate together. You've been to my house, I've been to your house, but now it's even worse. It's just no respect. That's what Lil Melvin said to me. He said, if there's one word he would share with the youngsters, it will be respect. What happened to respect, Mr. Lee?
It's a lost term. And then some of these younger folks, they don't have no self-worth or no self-value, because nobody ever tell them that they're worth anything anyway. So how can now, I mean, that it was, it started, like you said, 85, and it just has worse, it has gotten worse. So if I don't value myself, I'm not gonna value you or your life. Like, I mean, like, nowadays it's like, I mean, it's bad, man. Like, man, it's a culture where if I can't get you, they'll get your mother. Like, it's really that bad. So it starts with valuing yourself. Because if you value yourself, you gotta value the next man. But if you ain't got no self-worth, if you don't care about you, how am I care about the next man?
There's something else missing in our community, Mr. Lee. It's the men.
Leaders, yeah, us.
when 5%, America is 5% of the world's population, but we got 25% of the world's inmates. We are 5% of the world population, but we got 1 in 4 of the inmates. We got more inmates than China. It's 400 million here. It's 1.3 billion people in China. We got more inmates than China, bruh.
Ain't that something?
Black man is number 1, and the black woman is up and coming, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at just from the 80s, say from 94 when Bill Clinton did the crime bill, 3 strikes you're out. Man, I go to East Baltimore. To me, East Baltimore is a ghost town compared to when I was a kid. Where everybody at?
Park Heights too.
It's empty. They waited for all the black people to leave Park Heights and Woodland, 47, 48, 4900 block. It's like it's all gone. They was going to build houses. That was the trick. And now they talking about they're gonna make a farm.
Wow. Yeah.
So they just wanted black people gone.
Just want us gone.
And Pimlico is still important because they want to do things to Pimlico without us. Yeah, and let me just say this. When they would do that Preakness every year, why is it the Caribbean eateries suffered? Everybody getting paid, but the businesses that hold Park Heights down, they don't make no money.
No money. No money.
How does that happen in a black city? So my job, Mr. Lee, is to be on them politicians like a canine.
Yeah, Bill like a cat. Yeah, Bill like a cat.
Hold them accountable because they get on TV and they say all of these things. I was 8 years old when the lottery came out. They promised money for education. We look up a few years ago, they got icicles on the classroom window. We got 2 new stadiums, football, baseball, but we got schools with no air, no heat. I don't know when they built a new recreation center. I remember Greater Model coming up down there.
I mean, it's none. I mean, like it's none. They don't invest in our communities because we don't demand nothing for the people we put in office. We got to make some demands. Like, man, and then we got to really, because we begin to vote because, like, this is the way that, no, you got to vote based on the issues and you got to investigate, you know what I'm saying? And I know, like, a lot of us, a lot of people in our community kind of stay away from politics because they feel like it don't affect them, but it does. It does. From delegates, everything. And then if you're not represented, that's why the schools like it at, because the people that you putting in place, from the sheriffs to the down, from the sheriffs to the delegates, you gotta know who's representing you. You know what I mean? Because that's who you take your grievance to. But if you don't know who's representing you, you don't even know. You just be frustrated and just think that can't nothing happen. But you gotta get into politics because this is what's governing the community you live in, and everything is governed by something.
I gotta share this with you, Mr. Lee. I've heard that many years. People say I'm not into politics. Everything we do is political. But I'm here to tell you, having worked on elections for the past 20 years, politics is dirtier than the dope game.
I know. I know.
It's dirtier because it controls the dope game.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
The president with an ink pen can say we going to war in Afghanistan. What they sell in Afghanistan?
Opiates. It ain't about no oil. It's about pharmaceutical opiates, man. Opioids.
And now we got people ODing on fentanyl like never before.
Right.
Afghanistan. They tell me in Afghanistan, the camels are addicted. That's how they get the camels to go from post to post, and they don't need nobody riding them because once the camel take it to the next destination, the camel get hit off.
He gonna get a hit.
That's how a lot of them dogs smell like cocaine, because they got cocaine up in them dogs.
Yeah, they gotta have it. You gotta have it, you're gonna get it.
Vietnam, Cambodia, China white, mud, dope.
It's all about the drugs. It's all about the pharmaceuticals, man. Street level and the ones in your cabinet. It's all about the drugs. We live in an RX society. We live in an RX world. You know, ain't nobody getting up talking nothing against them pharmaceutical companies. You come up missing. Because they the dope boys for real. They the
real dope boys.
Yeah, I know.
So
real dope boy. And they got a pill for everything. We got a pill for everything. Yeah, we got you.
So you a child of God. I know this. When I watch your videos, you may fool some other people, but I see a preacher.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot.
I see a testimony. I see somebody. I mean, you ain't got no problem lifting up God's name.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I know what God has done for me. I don't know about nobody else. But I know where I was at.
He saved me, bro.
I know where I was at, man.
He definitely saved me, and I know I better be a blessing out here. I better help somebody. You ain't got to help everybody, but you got to help somebody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you think if you were mayor, here's a question for you. If you were mayor, you see the news, you see what they saying, you see what people are doing, from the dirt bikes to crooked politicians, people going to jail. Kathy Pugh went to jail for $800,000. What would you do as mayor to get Baltimore back on track?
First, we would have to. I would really start with our younger people. Like I would start elementary age, and I would start elementary age and start depositing certain things into these young people and get them ready, get our new young leaders ready, and then I would reach out to the older brothers and have them reach back down. So we coming in the middle, because the people in the middle is our issue. So if I could reach your kids, because a lot of these young guys, they got kids. A lot of these people got uncles and missing mentors and things like that. So I would try to bring it all together. I would try to bring it all together to some degree, but the most important thing I think that would be the most effective in a lot of these situations is the resources. It's the resources. We gotta we need after school programs for all these young mothers that don't have nobody to watch their kids, and these kids not having no guys and falling down by the wayside. We need Miss Mildred and some of them people to run some of these after school programs to deposit some things into our younger people. You know what I'm saying? And just resources. Plenty of job training. Job training. Not giving nobody nothing, but giving them resources that can take them to where they're trying to get. Because you can't address the problem if you're not offering a resource. I can't tell you get out the corner if I'm not giving you a solution, because this is feeding your family. You know what I mean? And we live in a world where everything is through monetarily. You know what I mean? So we have to have some resources for these young people. You know what I mean? And like you say, with the dirt bikes and the this and the that. I mean, I would just try to, and I know it's more easier said than done, but there are resources out there. But we got powers that be that's really making the decisions.
I'm glad you said it. Now I want to hold you right there. You said we need money, after school programs, job training. And so, just so you know, this guy right here, he has a job training program. They actually advertise on our network. And then we also have some, this guy here, Chap Lovelace, he works in terms of bringing resources. But what I also want to say is, back when Obama was president, he gave many cities money, rescue money. He sent the money to Baltimore. Everybody know the problems Baltimore got. But somehow, Mr. Lee, the money don't make it to Baltimore.
Wow.
A lot of money has come here, millions and billions. But I don't see them going to the resources. I don't see them going to the after-school programs. I don't see them going to the job training. So we need, how do we find out what happened to the money? Now, on the streets, what happened when people don't do what they're supposed to do with the money? They end up missing.
They get their head hit. So you gotta find it. And I mean, and it's a paper trail. You can always follow the money. You know what I'm saying? Even though they put roadblocks and things like that, but they can find them if they wanted to. But
right now, the state got, I think, 300. Michael Haney might have to call in 300, 600. They got $600 million in a rainy day fund or something. And then Brandon Scott is getting millions in this relief money, this rescue money. And what I'm getting to is, Mr. Lee, we have to be better organized so as to tell them where we need this money to go. I'm saying to you, there's plenty of money. Somebody been holding it back. This is a black city, black mayor, black city council president, black comptroller, black state's attorney, black everything. Where the money at? And I think, Mr. Lee, sometimes you get people down there, they look like your brother, but they work for the other.
And I'm wise enough to know just because you look like me, that don't mean you my brother.
So, yeah, I'm saying you might get more from a white Republican than you get from a black Democrat.
Absolutely.
I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen where our own people, we'll pay a white boy from Pennsylvania instead of paying somebody from Baltimore. And the politician is black. I understand the white boy hiring a white boy. Why is the brother hiring a white boy when you got a brother that you could be hiring? White people expect you to look out for your own.
That's crazy. That's the mindset, man. That's the mindset. I just had this conversation with somebody, man. I mean, like you say, I expect the white man to hire the white man. That's what he's supposed to do. I mean, that's in your nature. It's nothing. It's nothing racist about that. You're supposed to take care of your own first. There's nothing racist about that. I respect that. But we don't. You know, we always say, well, you can't deal with black people. They got poor customer service. White people got poor customer service. But we don't scrutinize them the same as we scrutinize our own.
I'm gonna tell you something else, Mr. Lee. There was a meeting. I gotta keep my glass. I'm getting old, Mister. I can't read like I used to no more. There was a meeting about 2 weeks ago with people running for governor, and the topic of discussion, Mr. Lee, was the black agenda. Now I'm getting ready to bring in Mr. Haney, but I want you to hear me loud and clear, Mr. Lee. They talking about the black agenda. The email that went out in the subject line, it said the black agenda. Everybody, black, white, Asian, Latino, they go into this forum to talk about the black agenda. Damn if I didn't see a black man running for governor talking about people of color. It said the black agenda. What I'm saying, Mr. Lee, sometimes you got black people who are afraid to say black people.
Right.
You black.
Right.
Oh, no, people of color. We're talking about people of color. No. Okay,
Right.
let me see if Mr. Haney come in and join. Mr. Haney, you there? Haney.
Hey, Donnie.
Are you there? You distracted me. Pay attention. Look at the camera. Mr. Haney.
Hey, I'm here.
Mr. Haney, you asked to come on there. There's Mr. Lee. Do I got to remove you? What are you doing? You got that raggedy computer, Mr. Lee. You help me get my computer. Now we got to help you get your computer.
Now, since you got a new computer, Donnie, don't talk about mine. It's
Okay,
all
well,
good.
thank you. Well, say hi to Mr. Lee, man.
Mr. Lee, how you doing? I was compelled to come in when I heard you talk about the money. And Mr. Lee, congratulations on all that you're doing. Very real conversation. But when you talked about the money and the surplus that this state and the city has, the $2.5 billion surplus in a pandemic year, $2.5 billion surplus. That was what the surplus was for the state of Maryland in the fiscal year that ended July 1st of 2021 this year. The city got almost $700 million, of which the mayor gave out $80 million today, and he had Safe Streets on his program today when he was doling out this money. He gave the health department last week 40 million, gave Safe Streets some money today to continue their program and initiatives, but to workforce development, education, economic development for black businesses, to Donnie's point, being a majority city, why when we get black elected officials, of which I had one this past Sunday, do they feel compelled to all of a sudden be fair? What does fairness look like when you had 275 years of oppression and you weren't treated fair, that they campaign on us voting them in and all of a sudden kumbaya? So what it comes down, in my opinion, is to special interest money. So it's not their money to control. We have very little power. When we get to the city hall offices, our mayor doesn't have any power. The real power is with the Kevin Planks and the real estate developers, the leg masons that run this city. They tell him what to do.
So is that a question form?
I definitely concur with that statement, and it's obvious. It's obvious. It's so obvious to the point that it's you can see that these same remedies are not effective. We need some new ideas. We need some new ways to address these problems. You know what I mean? And they are. That's a nice marriage with Safe Streets because they do engage in the streets and things like that. But that's just only one. That's just one situation.
You're
We
right,
need a
Mr.
lot
Lee.
more of those situations to speak to our problem. We need a real voice. So we need to be able to come together collectively. But like you say, he don't even have no power to say what he really gonna do with the money because they gonna tell him what to do with the money.
Absolutely. You're right. We're getting crumbs. And what we need, Mr. Lee, is not new conversation. What we need, in my opinion, and what does a revolution look like? What is a revolution? What does a revelation look like? We need a revelation within our family structures, our home, where parents are holding accountable their kids for doing their work, eating dinner, and doing the right things at home. And we need to straighten out home and take home out in the streets, and we need some sort of revolution. But before we can go to a revolution, we need a revelation. I heard you and Donnie talking about God and the importance and power of God. And Donnie said, he knows what God has done for him, and I know what he has done for me, and I know what he can do for us collectively. We can't look in our homes and believe that someone says that they believe in God and their home is in an uproar and in confusion to a point where they don't go to PTA meetings, they don't vote, they don't hold the city accountable, and you believe in God and you believe in what's wrong. Okay, the reality is that we have to walk and talk. If someone's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, how can we believe that they can help us? If showing love means that I'm taking care of me. I can see that Donnie and Mr. Lee love themselves by how you look, how you act, and that means that I have a chance to get you to love me as well. But if I can look at you and see that you don't love yourself by how you are and the conditions of your family, the conditions of you, how can I even believe that you can love me? So don't even tell me that. Love starts at home and starts with ourselves first.
But so let's first of all, Mr. Lee, how do we get love to our young people? How do we let them know that we love them? I mean, because you are a Pied Piper. I don't know if you see it, but I see part of your gift. They listen to you. They respect you. And I see you. You say you might not want to take the preacher title, but I know I see you pouring it into them. How do we better reach the young people?
For one, like a lot of young people feel like nobody listens. So you gotta kind of listen. And I can meet them where they at because I have been them. So it's a common ground that I have where so I can conversate with them and empathize with them and tell them my story, my plight, and just let them know that, and they know it's coming from a genuine place. But you can't talk at these young folks. You know what I'm saying? You really gotta get people that can really penetrate them and really, you know what I mean? Because they don't believe nothing is real anyway. Just like Mr. Haynes said, you know what I mean? They got people that just want to pour money and write a check on everything. You can't write a check on everything because a check don't fix nothing. We got to get to the core issues. And like you say, it's such a moral breakdown in our society. I mean, it's just terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember coming up, we used to get up, old lady get on the bus, you get up, you let the old lady sit down. Like I see young kids just cursing for no reason. And I'm gonna tell you, in my opinion, a big part of the problem is social media and reality TV, because it don't show our young people no consequence. It only say you do this, and now young people are not accustomed to dealing with consequence. So if you don't deal with no consequence until it's time for you to deal with consequence, and what I mean by that, so you got young people because we don't want to chastise our kids and we don't want to discipline our kids. We don't go to the PTA meetings. We don't deposit spiritual spiritual development into our children. And then when it's too late and now they over at 15, 16 years old, they sitting over central booking with one tear coming down their eyes because now they have suffered the consequences for something they've done in the real world that's not going to pacify you. You know what I mean? And this is what we have to convey to them. Like, for every decision that you make, there are consequences attached to this. And that's the big thing too. Like, in a household, like, we so caught up on monetary things, money. You know what I mean? Money ain't nothing. We need money, but I'm talking about in a household saying we need love more than that. You need love first. Because if you chasing money is endless. It's an endless chase. It ain't no end to it. But you got to deposit into your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, and the moral breakdown of society is pitiful. You can't even say nothing to nobody else. Don't say nothing to my, you know what I'm saying? It takes a village to raise a child. So if I can't say nothing to your child, you ain't everywhere all the time. So we have developed a culture where as though we turn the eye like, it's crazy. Nobody even want to address the kids because they're afraid of them. And we have developed this culture, and like you say, by design, they have took a lot of men out of the household. You know what I mean? Put us like you say when President Clinton came up with that crime bill, took us out of the household. You know what I mean? So now we already was damaged. We already was damaged. So now, you done took us out the household and the TV raising the kids and everything but the parent. And they say and I know a lot of my peers, they got kids. And a lot of my peers, they fathers to their kids. So it ain't like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, they in their kids' life. They go to PTA meetings, you know what I mean? So it does exist. You know what I mean? It does exist. Now, does it exist on a large scale? Maybe not. But it does exist. You know what I'm saying? These are definitely the things, the issues that if we don't address these issues, it ain't going to get no better. Like, it saddened my heart when that commercial kept coming on one of the news channels. I ain't going to get them no, you know what I mean? But one of the news channels, it was a commercial coming on about, they was doing an investigation about the TV, about the schools. And this young lady, this mother kept saying, where's the mentors? Where's the this? And where were you, miss? How come you didn't know your child wasn't going to school? I mean, like, your child was not going to school. Where were you in this situation?
For years.
We remove ourselves.
For years.
Take responsibility. We got to take responsibility. Nobody want to take responsibility for the messed up stuff that we do. And that's where it starts at, man. We gotta hold ourselves accountable, man, and allow somebody to hold us accountable. Cause we ain't right. We ain't all right. You know, we all can use a little help, man. And our young people, they really need us, man. It's disheartening, man, to see where our great community is going, man. Because our young people, they great, man. Listen, like I said, I worked at Maryville High School, man. And before, I'm glad I had that experience because I was wondering where our next leaders was coming from. We got some young people out there, man, that's going to do some things. Don't get it messed up. We got some young folks out there that's going to do some things. We got some up and coming leaders, but we have to still do our part to make sure that they are successful. We have to educate them and teach them from our mistakes. You know what I mean? The things that we've done wrong. Like, I ain't know nothing about when I was coming up about how effective and how strong I could be knowing about politics and just being active, being an activist in my own community. But now I see the strength in that. You know, and that's what our young people got. They ain't for no whole bunch of lip professing. They ain't for no whole bunch of talking. Show them. Get out there with them and show them, and stop being scared of them. These our folks. You gotta walk up on them, man. You can't be. And I know we live in a dangerous city, but if you want to change, if you ain't willing to die for something, you ain't set to live then. Because if you ain't willing to put your life on the line and make sure that the next generation is all right, go ahead and lay down and die then. Just die. They need us. They need us. And I've been out there, man, caught up in it, man. And sometimes, man, you don't know how much it means for a young man to have somebody come up and say, look, bro, woo, 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 woo. You know what I mean? Woo, 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 woo. And sometimes all them young kids need is a damn hug, man. Like somebody say, man, look, I understand. If they open the head, I love you too. And that's, I mean, like, them small things, man, can penetrate the heart of these hardened young people. Because they ain't getting that. They not getting it.
I told you was a preacher. You got him balling over there, man. Look at him. He balling. So I got here my last question for you, Mr. Lee. It's to lighten the mood a little bit. How much for that jacket, man?
This is the 101.
There we go.
This is the only one. Mr. Glover. If you want this one, you can get it off my back. But no, a jacket like this, no more than about $70.
Oh, okay. You scared me there for a minute. We got to get to you now because I see it won't be long, Mike Haney, for this cat got $1,000 jackets, man. How do the young people, I know they want to buy it. I get that. But do any of them come to you like being a brand ambassador or being a salesman or creating? Do any of the young people come to you thinking business?
Yes, and the interesting thing about what I do, I build brands. I have a small hub, 6314 Windsor Mill, inside that professional building, Suite 202, and I help young people build brands. Like, I teach them about the material, the cost effectiveness. I mean, if they want to do it, I'm a hold their hand and walk them through and show them how to do it. I'm gonna share the information. That's another thing we're gonna do.
So watch this, Mr. Lee. Mike Haney, I'm gonna take you off mute. Tell him about Africa, Mike.
Yeah, Africa was amazing. You know, I visited Africa, Mr. Lee, and I was there for almost 3 weeks. Matter of fact, I'm going back for a month in February. And just to see the camaraderie, not that they didn't have issues that were more tribal. One of the most profound, compelling experiences I had was that for 24 hours, I didn't see one white person. All I saw were black people running things. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, and education is a value to them because they have to pay for it.
Yes.
And they suffered during the pandemic. They didn't have jobs, they didn't have stimulus checks, but they got out there and sold what they had to sell for the primary purpose of ensuring their kids could go to school because that school bill did not stop during the pandemic. And these parents that were working menial jobs at the beginning anyway that were out of work during the pandemic. So it gave me a sense of pride. And moreover, it taught me about my history. But while Donnie's gone, he's let me talk for another 30 seconds before he cuts me off again because he does that real good. I want to say how much it means for you to hear what you had to say, right? Because I worked with Erica Bridgeport, and the ceasefire movement a couple of years ago very strong. And we went in the heart of the communities. We prayed with these street corner boys, man, and they wanted us to pray with them. They wanted us to hold them. Donnie had someone on from a food truck called Nacho Bangers a couple weeks ago, 23 years old, just got out of the system, asked him what he felt that was important for young people now. You know what he said that young people needed now? They needed our time, to your point. They needed our time, you know? And when I was out there with Erica, there was maybe one or two other men. I tried to get my Masonic brothers and other brothers to go out there and be part of this woman's movement initially, and they've gotten more since then. But you know, we've got to give a revelation before we cause a revolution, and it has to start inside. And you're absolutely right, man. We got to be accountable for our own. You know, they keep us in a disarray because they know that we're more inclined to be disoriented as a result of their trickeries than anything. But we got a lot of smart people, man. But everybody, to your point, is trying to get their own and snatch their own, you know, and forget about community. Martin Luther King's dream speech. The dream now is to get a home in the suburbs, a car, you know, have some good shoes on. So our dream has changed
Yes.
because we've beholden the white man's dreams and we've forgotten about community. So therefore we don't have any. Koreans have community, they have a dream. The Jewish people have community and they have a dream. They go to see the mayor. The Jews go to see the mayor. They say, where's the Jewish people's money? And you know what he does? He cuts a check.
Mr.
You
Haney,
can
I
see it.
want to cut you for a second. I thought you were going to maybe tell them about possibly selling Bomb City clothes in Africa, or maybe even doing some manufacturing.
Hey, so he and I are going to connect offline because I told him I'm going back over there in February, and I'm with a group of people now, Mr. Lee, led by a young lady named Rebka from Ethiopia. We have a consortia of people in the States that want to do business in Africa, and Rebka is located here in Baltimore. She does some work for Hopkins, just got back from Ethiopia and Kenya a couple of weeks ago, and she's all about advocating for blacks that want to do business in Africa, but moreover to learn about our heritage and history. Because if we don't know where we come from, how do we know where we're going?
So, Mr. Lee, you got to make sure your passport updated.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's time we do some international, because I find we get a lot of love when we leave Baltimore.
Yeah, we do. We do. We do.
So I'll be sure to share with you Mr. Haney's number. I'll send it to you. So any final thoughts, Mr. Lee? And thank you for coming on our show.
Man, I appreciate you, brothers, man. I applaud you, brothers. I thank you for reaching out to Mr. Glover. It's a pleasure meeting you, Mr. Haney. I'm looking forward to talking to you again. And, man, I just want to say, man, look, Baltimore, help somebody, man. Help somebody love somebody, man. That's all. Just help somebody love somebody. That's it. That's it. We need a little love out there. We need a little love. We need a little love. We need a lot of love. We need a lot of love. We need a lot of love. And my man, I just want the men to just stand up. Let's stand up. Let's stand up. We got to stand up. It's time for us to stand up. You know, because it ain't going to get right till we get it right. And we can't wait for nobody else to get it right for us. This is a we thing. This is our thing. We got to address this because ain't nobody going to fix it for us but us.
Amen.
It affects us. And it don't affect nobody the same way it affects us but us. So it's up to us. And that's all I got.
Good deal. We'll have this show up on blackusa.news probably in the next day or so. We also have another website, bmorenews.com. That's the mothership. But we're proud of you. We want you to keep going however we can be of help. We do shows 7 days a week. We'll give you your own show. Tell them, Mike Haney.
Absolutely. Donnie gave me that opportunity. He said, if you want to talk, get your own show. So that's what I do. And I bring people on. This coming Sunday on 60 Minutes in Black USA at 6 p.m. We have the athletic director from Hampton University, as well as a former NFL player that went from drugs to glory, drugs to salvation. You know what I'm saying? And his story relevant to where we are as a community and how drugs are destroying us, at least the fiber of our community. Like you said, there's a lot of people out here doing good. Marijuana is a gateway drug. We got to remember in our community. You know,
It
so
is, sir.
look for it at 60 Minutes in Black USA on Sunday at 6 p.m.
All right.
Good deal. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll be back in the morning, 10 a.m. for the BlackUSA.News morning show.
Thanks for having me.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.